Yo, what's up guys, it's Looking here back with another video. Before we go ahead and get this started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's super appreciated, supports the channel, all that great stuff. So we have Eldich Invoked, Dogmatika of course. So this deck is so crazy. It's been crazy before and it was definitely one of the contenders for the best decks. It was just, you know, between Dragon Link being super consistent, being able to play through several disruptions. Same thing with Noble Knight, you know, and being able to rip your hand. This deck was a little hard to play. But now, with the list basically not slaughtering, but, you know, hitting those decks down to the loser tier, we have this deck. It's really between this deck, Dino, and Virtual World, but I really prefer this deck over the two ladders, just because, you know, for one, all the three engines are insanely good. Alistair's Recursion for you, Mechaba every turn, a Fusion for every turn, just a body on board every turn. Any deck that is one, gets Invocation, gets a boy back to your hand. It's crazy. And then Ecclesia, of course, that whole Dogmatika engine is just absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely crazy. I love this engine. And then, of course, the Eldlich engine, insanely controlly, super good as well. Puts up 3,500 attack on board. He's also removal, which is super good. And we're not going to be seeing Herald a lot anymore as well. That's a really good thing. That's a super plus for the deck. But yeah, so we're going to go through this real quick. So, you know, we have two Golden Lord, of course, one Fleur, because we can also add it back off of Nadir, so it doesn't really matter too much. We can always get it back. And then we have Maximus. Maximus is such a powerful card, but you're probably going to be seeing a lot more of this card, unfortunately, now, because, you know, a lot of more people, I can say, especially at my locals, will be playing this deck. A lot of people already do, but, you know, now it's going to be a lot more prominent, and it's going to be a rough matchup, but I still think this card is necessary to be played. You know, if you want to be cheeky, you could also play the Cyber Dragon Nova if you want. You can cut maybe like Pallades. Oh, my Secure Garden is not in here. Oh, perfect, there you go. But yeah, so this is like the standard list so far. This is like I really want to try. She's just a Link 1 for Alistair, so when you use these, you can just go into this instead. But there is a chance I saw people cutting Purgatrio and Almirage to play other things. But I still like this because Purgatrio is a really powerful card, and you're not always going to see a Fire Engrave. But yeah, so after the Maximus, because really Maximus is so good because during turn 1 or 2 he's a threat. You can't let this card resolve because he could either pop 2 or he could pop 1, add, or pop. It's crazy. You know, this card is just so good, and I can see it definitely going up, especially because it's a secret rare in the set. I for one have to pick up mine. I can say that much. And then we have 3 Ecclesia, of course, she's pretty standard. And then 3 Alistair, 2 Ashe, 2 Droll, and 2 Veiler. I opted out to play Nibiru because I can just say this for the most part. I feel like a lot more people are going to be playing this deck than the Virtual World deck, and I do, you know. The only thing with Nibiru right now is it's really only good versus the Virtual World deck. It's not really good versus this deck because we put a Mechaba, and then we're like, okay, you know, we're just gonna Mechaba. Like, oh, if you have Imperm Nibiru, sure, you know, there's nothing I can really do about that. But most of the time they're just gonna Imperm the Alistair anyway, and you know, because they're Invoked players, they always have the Invocation. But so I really opted out to play opted out of Nibiru because, you know, as an overall, like going against Virtual World, even after I would Nibiru them, like on their final summon, they were still able to continue playing and make another VFD. And I'm like, you know, what is going on here? That's crazy. You know, that shouldn't be allowed. You can't make 2 VFDs. That's illegal. And it's just so crazy watching that deck play. And, you know, really, like realistically, Nibiru isn't good versus Dino, which is going to be the other best deck, as well as, you know, this deck. And, you know, I would rather play a card that affects all 3 decks, which is, in my opinion, Droll, because, you know, Virtual World, they draw and add a lot for the most part. You know, a lot of their cards say draw, a lot of their cards say add. You know, they play draw cards. So, you know, drolling them really hurts the deck for the most part, because now they have to play with whatever they have in hand, which in most cases really isn't enough through at least one more hand trap. That's one thing I really do like about, you know, Droll, is just, it's so crazy right now. And I am playing 2 Veiler because I think Veiler is just generically good, but you can swap that out for something if you want. But the deck is at 41, so you could maybe put a good 1 of in, or you can just put a place in a hand traps, or just 2 other hand traps. If you like Nibiru, you put it in. But I really like Valor right now in regards to it, because not a lot of people are maining Tactics either. That was another big thing. It's really, you're only seeing it in the Virtual World deck for the most part. So I'm not too worried about it. If, you know, something does come up and I have to change like the Valors out, you know, I'll change the Valors out. It's whatever. But for now, I think this handset ratios, hand trap ratios, they're solid. Yeah. And then we have 3 Nadir Servant. This card is bonkers. It's, you know, 1 card should all combo basically. 1.5, I guess, because you need a card to do it. Well, no, it's not even. Yeah, it's a 1 card should all combo for the most part. And it also lets you recycle the Dogmatika cards in graveyard, which is really good as well. And then we're playing the Black Elixir. I opted in for this one over the White Elixir because I like that this card does not require me to have an Eldlich already out. I also like that I can just play this during the end of my turn and it doesn't feel bad. I get a big boy on board and I can just hit a Conquistador and I'm like, I'm golden. And, you know, worst case scenario, it's pitch fodder for Eldlich or Mechaba. And, you know, I'm able to banish it from the graveyard the same turn, or, you know, just getting into the grave, I can get a Conquistador or the Hakero, however it's pronounced. Yeah, DD Crow guy. But I think this card's a lot better personally. You know, I'll be probably testing both, but yeah. And then we have Invocations, of course, that's pretty standard. 3 Eldland, 3 Meltdown, 3 Imperm, 3 Sanguine, 2 Punishment. Playing 2, this card is a must in this deck. I don't care what anyone says. This card is bonkers. At worst, this when you boil it down, at worst, this card is at least a pop 1, or like and a search, or pop 2, and that's just crazy. You know, late game especially, you know, you're going to be playing a lot more of your Eldlich engine most likely, and your Dogmatika engine. So I feel like this card is very important, and being able to search it twice, you know, for one, just setting 1 puts an immense amount of pressure on your opponent. And that's like a big reason for me, because, you know, being able to put that kind of pressure, like, oh, now I have to play through, you know, Schism, Mechaba, Punishment, Fleur, like, you know how, like, that's terrifying. You know, me personally, seeing anyone set more than 1 card is already terrifying though. But yeah, and then we have standard 3 Conquistador, 1 of the DD Crow, and then 1 Schism. Schism is too broken right now, it's too free. Especially in most of the matchups, it's just so free. You know, you're playing versus Dino, you're playing in the mirror match. Even then, like, you know, they have to have Golden Lord to out the card, and, you know, that means, but they also have to play through the Mechaba too, you know. And this card, you know, just throwing down a window is really good, and even throwing down a Construct is pretty good too. You know, being able to send a Light Boy, you know, being able to get rid of like a Mechaba with it, or just being able to send anything, you know, it's just so crazy. This card's bonkers, and yeah. As of right now, I'm going to be playing Schism in all my builds. And then we have 2 Mechaba, of course, 1 Construct for the combo, 1 Ash Dragon, 1 of the, I don't know, Argodius? Something like that. 1 Purgatrio, because that thing is a straight killer. And then we have Apicalone. 1 Raijin, because now Virtual World's becoming a deck. The card's really good in general too, because, you know, he's a good defensive fusion monster. At the end of the day, he books something that is really helpful, to be honest. You know, it makes our Virtual World matchup not like feel as bad. That is a big thing I do like about this deck as well. As a Virtual World matchup doesn't feel like you auto lose when they make VFD, because you have cards like, you know, you have the Eldlich engine and you have Punishment, so, you know, you just don't feel like you auto lose, which is really nice. That's why I do. That's why I do really like this deck as well, because, you know, like with other decks, you know, it's like this they don't really have like a lot of defensive cards, because most decks, you know, rely all on their monster effects. But, you know, this deck doesn't really need that, and that's what's so good about it. But yeah, so we have Raijin, of course. We have to play that card as long as Virtual Worlds are here. Then we have Winda, of course. 2 Natis. I feel like this card is really needed. There's a random access code in here, not sure why, but there is one. Secure Gardna, the new Magistus Maiden, and the Almirage. To be honest, obviously this card's a flex spot. We can probably put like Pallades, Phoenix. We'll put Phoenix in there for now. But, you know, just generic removal. I guess that is 1 flex spot. So is 1 Natis. So if you want to change that around, you can. As well as this Magistus, because I feel like the Secure Garden and the Almirage just, you know, really fill its spot. But I do want to play it as of right now, because I think it's really helpful for the deck. Yeah, but that's the deck. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and let me know. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. As well as I do have a second channel if you want to go ahead and support it. Link will be in the description below. I will be posting on there relatively soon. In regards to it, it'll probably be more towards just, things that are not really Yu-Gi-Oh related, more stuff like, maybe gaming, things like that, vlogs for the channel when I go to events with my friends, just a bunch of other stuff, that I'm not really able to post here because I want to keep this strict Yu-Gi-Oh for the most part. But yeah, that's the deck. If you have any other suggestions, go ahead and let me know. I'm super excited for this new format. I was literally actually working when the ban list dropped. It was crazy. I had to go on my lunch break because I wanted to do a video for it. It was super troll. But yeah, that's about it. Take it easy.